Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt like you did not belong there? Not because of what you said, not because of what you did, but because of who you are. Maybe it was your skin, your accent, your face, your body, your religion, your gender, your last name, or maybe something you could never even identify. Just a strange feeling that the world had already judged you before you even opened your mouth. And the terrifying part is, almost every human being on Earth has experienced this feeling in some form. Because discrimination is not just a political issue. It is not just history. It is not just racism. It is something much deeper, something ancient. A silent instinct hidden inside human nature. An invisible line humans keep drawing between us, them. And every generation believes they are more civilized than the last. Yet the hatred never disappears. It only changes clothes. One century, it is slavery. Another century, it is caste. Another century, it is religion. Another century, it is nationality. And now, in the modern world, discrimination has become quieter, more sophisticated, more socially acceptable. People no longer always attack you openly. Sometimes they simply ignore you, exclude you, laugh at you, refuse to hear you, or reduce your entire existence into a stereotype. And what makes this even darker is that most people believe they are the good ones. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, I want to become a monster today. Yet history is full of ordinary people participating in cruelty, not because they were born evil, but because humans have an incredible ability to stop seeing others as human. This is not just a story about society. This is a story about you. Because the same mind that suffers from discrimination is also capable of creating it. And until we understand why humans divide each other, this cycle will continue forever. Different countries, different languages, different victims, but the same human behavior. The invisible divide. Discrimination begins long before violence. It starts inside perception, inside tiny assumptions we barely notice. A child is treated differently in school because of their skin color. A woman is ignored in meetings, while a man repeating the same idea gets praised. A poor person enters a luxury store, and security suddenly starts watching them. A migrant worker is seen as less educated before even speaking. Someone with darker skin is considered less beautiful. Someone with an accent is considered less intelligent. Someone from a lower caste is treated as untouchable. Someone from another religion suddenly becomes dangerous. And after hearing these messages for years, people slowly begin to internalize them. That is the true horror of discrimination. It does not only attack your opportunities, it attacks your identity. It slowly whispers, you are less valuable. And when a human being hears that long enough, they begin shrinking themselves, avoiding attention, avoiding ambition, avoiding self-expression, not because they lack potential, but because society trained them to feel small. History is filled with this psychological destruction. In Nazi Germany, millions of Jews were reduced to objects instead of human beings. During slavery, entire races were described as subhuman. In many societies, women were denied education because people genuinely believed they were intellectually inferior. Apartheid divided people by skin. Caste systems divided people by birth. Colonialism divided people by nationality. And even today, people still judge worth based on beauty, wealth, status, followers, gender, race, ideology. The technology evolved, but the human mind remained disturbingly similar. Social media made this even worse. Now discrimination spreads at digital speed. One viral video, one manipulated headline, one stereotype repeated thousands of times, and millions instantly begin dehumanizing strangers they have never met. Because hatred becomes easy when the other person becomes abstract. When they stop feeling real, this is why humans can type cruel comments online they would never say face to face. Distance weakens empathy, and once empathy disappears, cruelty becomes normal. But the darkest part of all is that discrimination is often inherited. Children are not born hating each other. They learn it. They absorb fear from parents, from communities, from media, from politics, from history. Humans are taught who to fear, who to avoid, who to blame. And after enough repetition, prejudice starts feeling like truth. That is why discrimination survives for centuries. Not because it is logical, but because humans emotionally cling to tribal identity. People would rather feel superior than feel uncertain. And nothing is more dangerous than insecurity mixed with power. Because once humans believe another group is less human, almost any cruelty becomes justifiable. Wars become easier. Violence becomes easier. Exploitation becomes easier. Silence becomes easier. And entire societies slowly become numb to suffering. As Carl Jung once said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Because many times, what humans hate in others is actually fear inside themselves. Seeing the human again. The solution to discrimination is not pretending differences do not exist. Humans are different. Different cultures, different histories, different beliefs, different appearances. The real solution is learning how to see humanity before identity. Because the moment you truly see another person as human, cruelty becomes harder. It becomes harder to mock them, harder to exploit them, harder to reduce them into stereotypes. Empathy destroys abstraction, and abstraction is what discrimination feeds on. That is why personal interaction changes people more than arguments. A person may hate an entire group until one day they become friends with someone from that group. Suddenly, the stereotype collapses, because reality is always more complex than prejudice. The human brain loves categories, but real people do not fit perfectly into categories. And maturity begins when we stop simplifying human beings into labels. This does not mean agreeing with everyone or abandoning critical thinking. It means refusing to strip people of their humanity, even when society encourages it. Because the truth is, every human being carries invisible pain, invisible fears, invisible struggles. And most discrimination comes from people who never truly examined themselves. People project their frustrations onto others, their insecurity, their anger, their fear of losing status, their fear of being replaced, their fear of uncertainty. Discrimination often says more about the discriminator than the victim. And once you realize this, you stop desperately seeking validation from people blinded by prejudice. You understand that another person's ignorance is not a measurement of your worth. Their inability to see your humanity does not erase it. Breaking the pattern. Start noticing your own assumptions, not just society's, yours. Notice how quickly the mind categorizes strangers, how instantly it creates stories based on appearance, accent, clothing, religion, gender, status. Ask yourself, would I think differently if this person looked different? That single question can expose hidden prejudice inside almost anyone. Then start humanizing people you normally ignore. Listen before judging. Talk to people outside your social bubble, outside your class, outside your ideology, outside your nationality. Because ignorance survives through distance. The less humans understand each other, the easier it becomes to hate each other. And if you are someone who has experienced discrimination, do not let society's blindness define your identity. Because many people who changed history were once rejected by the world around them. Your value does not decrease because someone else lacks the depth to recognize it. And finally, be careful about the groups that constantly demand hatred, because history shows something terrifying. The moment a society becomes comfortable dehumanizing one group, eventually, anyone can become the target. Discrimination is never truly controlled. It spreads, it evolves, it mutates. And the only thing preventing humanity from repeating its darkest moments is whether ordinary people choose empathy over tribal instinct. Because civilization is not measured by technology, or wealth, or power. It is measured by how humans treat people who are different from themselves. And history keeps asking humanity the same question again and again. Can humans finally learn to see each other as human before it is too late?